Welcome to Grappling and Thought Podcast with Amanda. My first episode, eek, scary, and super exciting. It is what this whole podcast is about. It's the fears and the beliefs and the outside world and my negative thoughts and life that have prevented me from doing this for so long. And me grappling with the side of me that wants to be the best me and the life I want. And that's doing a podcast and talking about things I love to talk about. And so I'm overcoming it. And that's what this is all about. It's just what I've learned and am learning on this crazy grappling journey within myself. And so, first episode, starting with this topic, are you your own best friend? Because I think it's a major foundation to a meaningful life and a happy life, and foundation to becoming the human you want to be and living the life you want to live. And so bear with me. I will get better. I promise. I will strive to get better. So leave comments, suggestions, and I will genuinely consider them. And I will keep getting better. Let's get on with it. And so what I've learned through friends, news, things I listen to, things I read, and my own experiences, a lot of people don't like themselves. Some people can't even look at themselves in the mirror, that they just really struggle with themselves. What I've learned that I'm going to talk about and have implemented different things in my life, that I feel really lucky that I do have a friend in myself. And I will thank my mom for that. I wish she was around still to actually thank her. My mom used to talk to herself a lot. And when we were kids, we'd tease her, and not in a crazy way, but she would just talk to herself like she was talking to a friend. And basically out loud. She would think out loud. But it was, for the most part, friendly. Like, she was just chatting with a friend. So she might say, oh, I got to remember to do this. And she would say it out loud instead of just internally. And oh man, we used to tease her. But I think in a way that also taught us that we can build a relationship with ourselves, a good relationship with ourselves. And who better to become friends with than yourself? Like, you, or that's the goal. So that's what we're going to talk about. Do you really know you? Okay, so why? Why would we want to be friends with ourselves? Like, what? Who cares? I'm me, I got other friends. Why do I need to be friends with myself? When we can understand ourselves and why we do things, why we say, why we do what we do, why we react a certain way, why we get this emotion when somebody or something happens, somebody says something or something happens, we can understand all of that. It makes dealing with other people easier because we can understand why, like, understand them, relate to them better, because we get it. We have somebody in ourselves that goes through stuff. And so we can relate and understand that other people go through things too. Everybody's dealing with something. And when we're friendly to ourselves, it makes life easier because we're going to be happier. We're going to be healthier. If we're happy, we're going to be kinder to others. If we're kind to ourselves, we're going to be kinder to others. If we're really negative to ourselves, often we're kind of negative to the outside world and we're always reacting. And so being happier and healthier, when we're positive with ourselves and we're friends with ourselves, we're more positive, and when we're more positive, we're happier. When you're happier, you're healthier. When we're happier, we have more momentum, we have more motivation. Our intentions are good. We're more appreciative. We have more momentum to strive for the life we want and the human we want to be. And I believe it starts like this is a foundation. How you treat yourself, who you are to yourself. When you are friends with yourself, it makes handling life's happenings, what life throws at us, it makes it way easier because you have somebody to talk through it with. You don't take everything personal, and it's not like just um, adding more beat up on ourselves. Like if we're beating up on ourselves for everything and then something happens, it's like, oh, there's another thing. Instead, when you're friends with yourself, which equates to a little happier in life, when things come at you, it doesn't hit you as hard because you're more positive. You're in a better spirits. And we all know this, like when we're in better moods, things that happen don't affect us as much. When we're in sad or negative moods, everything affects us, right? Like everything. And so we can handle life much easier when we're friends with ourselves. And just think like friend or foe. Do you want to be enemies with ourselves, or should we be friends with ourselves? I want to be a friend with myself. And nobody like we don't want enemies. And that's like if we're enemy to ourselves, that's kind of one of the worst kinds of enemies because we're with ourselves all the time. At least external enemies, we can get away from them, right? So, yeah, friend or foe. I want to choose friend. Always choose friend. So, my newfound friends, how friendly are you with yourself? How often do you spend time alone? Just no TV, no distractions, no phone, nobody else, no music, no headphones, just you hanging out with you, just chilling, getting to know yourself, chatting it up, just chilling by yourself, with yourself. Probably not very often. A lot of people don't. A lot of us, we run from distraction to distraction, and a lot of times it's subconsciously to avoid being alone. And there's so much coming in at us. Fast-paced world, that everything, all this, like just bombarded with stuff and all these distractions. And we're pulled in all these directions that we don't sometimes get a chance. And I won't say we don't get a chance. We don't make the time because we jump from distraction to distraction. And so going and just hanging out with yourself is really important to start. Like spending a little time getting to know yourself. That's what this is about. As if you were hanging out with a friend. So what traits would you say are traits of a best friend or somebody you really enjoy being around? We've all had a best friend in our life. We all know people that we really, at one time or another, enjoyed being around. What were the traits of them that gave us that feeling? So, some that I say, they're kind. They enjoy being around me. They make me laugh. They are encouraging. They're, they don't beat me up emotionally or physically. They if I do something silly or dumb, they don't call me names, they don't belittle me or criticize me, they're not mean to me, they're curious about me, they're interested in my life and who I am, they're encouraging, they want the best for me. Um, they're supportive, they are straight with me, they'll call me out on things, but in a good way, in a positive way, not in a belittling or critical, mean way. Uh, you can think of other traits, put them in the comments, please. But those are just a few, right? Now, here's the big question. How many of us are that way to ourselves versus how many of us beat ourselves up when we do something silly, talk down to ourselves, not supportive when we want to do something that's kind of scary. We all have that voice that says, "Who are you? You can't do that. You're too dumb, oops, short, fat, tall, whatever, all those not enoughs." How many of us are demotivating to ourselves, disrespectful? That was another one I didn't mention. Respect, they respect me. Um, like we're often not, we don't practice those traits with ourselves. We're kind of the opposite. And, the saying, hurt people hurt people. And so that kind of goes with what I was saying earlier, too, the happy, like when we're friends with ourselves, we're happier and that bleeds out to others. And the opposite is true, when we're hurt, when we're hurt, we struggle with ourselves. And a lot of times that bleeds out to others as well. We'll struggle with other people. If we're very negative to ourselves, a lot of times will bleed out to others. We'll be negative to others. But a friend is understanding. Like your best friends are understanding. They're compassionate. They're curious. Curiosity is huge. And I will probably do a whole podcast episode on curiosity. Think of when you meet somebody for the first time and you're like, oh, this person's kind of cool. You're curious about them. You're interested in them. That's what we want in ourselves. Like we want to start asking those questions. And who are you? What about you? Like how come you did that? And being understanding, they're understanding with us. Okay, so I think we all know what a best friend is. The traits, it's being kind, being understanding, being compassionate, being curious, wanting to know more, being nice, empathetic. So now, how many of you want to be nicer to yourself? Want to be friends with yourself? Hopefully all of you. How do we get there? How do we do this? When we have so much negative self-talk in us, how do we change that? How do we change jumping from distraction to distraction? How do we change being the pinball in life of just reacting to every external factor and the outside world and just constantly reacting to it? How do we change all these habits, these just defaults? Well, I think one of the biggest things, and I grew up, this was huge with my dad, was the golden rule. Yes, I'm over 40. So if you don't know what the golden rule is, it is the golden rule. It is do unto others as you'd have done unto you. So, and that goes, I say it goes in multiple directions. Do unto others as you'd want have done to you. But then do unto yourself as you'd want done to you. So being that friend, right? Like treat yourself how you'd want others to treat you. Treat others as you'd want to be treated. But in the line of this, treat yourself as you hope others treat you, as you want others to treat you. Treat yourself that way. Be that friend to yourself. Practice those traits that we just talked about of a best friend. Practice them on yourself. And it takes a while. But number one is becoming aware. How are you to yourself? What kind of a friend are you to yourself? Recognizing that, becoming aware of those, aware when you aren't that friendly to yourself, aware of that negative self-talk and reframing it. So we all have those, oh, I'm so stupid. Why the fuck did I do that? God, I'm an idiot. Those little stabs at ourselves. Try to catch yourself and reframe it. So I still say that sometimes. Oh, God, that was stupid. Or why did I do that? And when I catch myself, I'll reframe and be like, that wasn't stupid. That was just silly. Or that wasn't I'm not stupid. I just was thinking of a different, or, oh, I forgot this. Like I'll reframe it to be understanding, because when we talk to ourselves like that, like I'm so stupid, I'm such an idiot, why'd I do that? Nobody wants to be talked to like that. So don't talk to ourselves that way. And if we can reframe it, it starts that understanding. Well, why did I do that? Oh, because I forgot that this happened. Or, oh, because I wasn't paying attention. Or, whatever the case is, but there's a reason for it. And that's what it's about, is understanding why you do the things you do, understanding why you say the things you say. And sometimes it is silly. Okay, it's silly. It's not stupid. You're not stupid. You're not an idiot. You're not dumb. It's just light. It's just being human, human nature, forgetting things, or not being in the moment, not being right there, or your intention is off, or motivation is off, whatever, but understanding that, not just doing this blanket statement, I'm such an idiot. Actually being like, well, no, it was just because of this. I forgot that I already did this, right? Or, oh yeah, I was in a bad mood, and yeah, I am in a really bad mood. I shouldn't have done that. Like, it's just understanding. And that's the biggest key, is understanding, being curious and compassionate with yourself and patient. And so when we can become aware of how we actually treat ourselves, catching ourselves in the moment, and then trying to reframe and practice being those traits that we talked about of a best friend. And so in that moment of, oh, I'm such an idiot, you can try to talk to yourself as if your best friend was just sitting there, or a friend was just sitting there and said that to themselves. No, you're not an idiot. Like, or if they're talking to you about how they feel about themselves, talking to you about those negative self-talk. How would you, if we care about them, if they're a true best friend, you're not going to be like, yeah, you are a fucking idiot, right? We might say it teasing, but if they're like serious, like I have these really negative self-talk, I'm always calling myself an idiot, you're not going to, hopefully, we shouldn't be just like, oh, you are a fucking idiot, right? It's, you're compassionate about it. You want to understand. You want to help. And that's what we need to do to ours. Be compassionate. Be a friend to ourselves. And so it's that curiosity. Why do I feel that way? Where does this come from? And in a really genuine, curious way. And I know I'm going to keep saying it, but it's genuinely wanting to understand. Like it has to be genuine. Because if we just say, oh, well, that's because of this, this, and this, and because this person did this, that's why I was like that. Well, that's not getting anywhere. Remember when I said, we can't control anybody else. We can only control ourselves. So when we say, I did this because they did that, that's letting other people, the outside world, control us instead of controlling yourself. You can control how you respond to that. Don't let them control you. Like, I don't want the outside world to control me. And it does. Like, I'm not oblivious, and I get it. Often we get an emotion from the outside world, right? The outside world, we got an emotion from something happening, but you get to control what you do with that emotion. And that's what's important. It's just taking a step and being, okay, what's really going on here? And being intentional with your response instead of just reacting a gut reaction to that feeling you got from what somebody did. When we do that gut reaction, that's letting this outside factor control us. My mom used to, so I have a 4-year older brother. And when we're little, he would antagonize me. Like, he would purposely try to do things to get under my skin and get a reaction out of me. And so we'd be doing something and I would react. He would do something, I would react. And my mom would always say, what? You know, he's doing that on purpose. Like, I'm sure all of you, you all know this. Like, if you have kids or you have siblings, you know how this works. And it took me a long time to get that, but like, we don't have to react to everything that happens outside our world, our internal world. Like, we get to choose what to react to. We get to think about it and be like, yeah, he's doing that on purpose. He's teasing me just to get that reaction. He went and hung my dolls by their hair to get a reaction out of me. So and now as adults, we have to do the same thing. We have to realize we don't want to be a pinball. I don't want to be a pinball and just react, 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 react. I want to be intentional. Oh, that happened? Do I care? Is that going to benefit or distract me from the person I want to be, the life I want to live? No? All right, whatever. Yes? Okay, how do I want to respond to go in terms of who I want to be, the life I want to live? So when we can become aware of that and understand that and be curious and compassionate and empathetic with ourselves, genuine interest, genuine curiosity. I'm going to keep saying it. Curiosity, curiosity. And so then it goes into, again, goes deeper into knowing yourself in relation to the outside world, understanding why you react that way, understanding what triggers you have, understanding the responses you give, and just taking a moment before responding or reacting. The difference between how you see yourself and how the world sees you. So I'll give a quick example. At work, one of my employees, one day this is a couple of years ago, we're talking about habits, or I don't know what we're talking about, but we got on the subject. I was telling her about confidence and me I'm trying to improve my confidence. And she she was really surprised because she's like, you're confident. I see you as very confident. And so with that, it took a little bit, but she sees me at work. Like, that's how I know her. That's the relationship, is a work business relationship. Yes. Yes. I am confident at work. I know what I'm doing at work. Yes, I'm confident there. What I was working on in my confidence was something outside of work. And so it took me a minute because I was like, well, yeah, I am with what I know, I am confident. What I don't know, that's where the confidence isn't so great. And that's what I was trying to work on. And so it was good because it gave me a perspective. It actually built my confidence because I was like, yeah, I'm confident here, I'm confident here, I'm confident here. Here's where I'm not, here's where I need improvement, here's where I'm not. But the ones that I could see, yes, I am confident in these areas, gave me a little boost to be like, yeah, it's just because I know those areas, those are very familiar. These other areas are new things. And so I can get there. And understanding why the confidence wasn't really there in these other areas because they're new. Because I'm starting out. Of course, you're not going to be confident when you're just starting out with something, trying something new or learning something new. And so it was really, I'm glad the conversation came up and she said that because it gave me a different perspective. But that's the understanding, like how I saw myself as a whole. I felt like I was struggling with confidence, but it wasn't. It was just this one thing that I was really focused on outside of work that I was letting kind of be an umbrella. And understanding how you see yourself in relation to how the world or others see you and how similar they are. And starting to really work through that and understand and just reflecting on it, thinking about it. Okay, so if we can start catching yourself when you start having the negative self-talk and then trying to reframe it, becoming aware of how you currently treat yourself in relation to a friend. Are you friendly to how friendly are to yourself? Become aware of that. Try to just pay attention to that and catch yourself when you're not and when you are. Like, oh, yeah, I am a friend with myself. Reflecting is big, and I think spending time, like I said in the very beginning, spending time just by yourself, no music, but really just with yourself. When I talk about sitting by yourself and reflecting and spending time and thinking, it's in a positive light. It's with curiosity. Often we can reminisce and reflect and analyze in a negative light where it's all blame or reaffirming why we feel the way we do in a negative light. So, yes, I'm angry because they did this and reminiscing and over and over and over of how they did you wrong or this situation did us wrong. And that's why we feel this way. Well, that's where's the, that's not productive. And that's not really being a best friend. Now, you can think, well, my friend would affirm that and be like, yeah, that sucked and they did this. But how is that helping you? How is that helping you be a better person? Right? So we need to, it's what I'm talking about is going in and understanding why it upset you. What about, what about that event or what they said or what happened triggered the anger in you? Like, what wound did it hit? Where are you hurting that scratched that wound and opened it up a little bit? And oftentimes that's insecurity, um, not feeling heard, not feeling seen. Maybe something in the past happened that we feel ashamed or accused. Um, so when somebody says something and it gives us a feeling of, say, insecurity, often we'll react on that. Well, it might not be like anybody could have said that, so it's not that person, but it's the fact that something in you got insecure. You have an insecurity that they touched on. And that's what I want us to understand and look into. And it's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's hard, but when we're more friendly with ourselves, it's easier. It comes easier because we're curious, we're understanding, we're compassionate, we're patient, everything that we've talked about today. We start trying to catch yourself when you're talking to yourself negative, just reframe it. Remember oh, that was stupid, or I'm such an idiot, to, well, that was silly, or, oh, I did that because I forgot this. Becoming aware of when you are mean to yourself or unfriendly to yourself and when you are friendly to yourself. Recognize it. And when bad stuff comes up internally or externally and you want to react, try to practice those traits of a best friend on yourself. Talk to yourself as if a best friend was talking to you about these negative thoughts. Practice the best friend traits. Be understanding, be compassionate, be curious, have interest, have genuine desire to want to understand. And see what happens. Try it for a while and leave comments, please. Let me know. So I'll end with this. Again, there is only one thing in this world and in this life that we can control, and that's ourselves. How we respond to things, how we react, how we feel. We cannot control anything outside of ourselves. And we try, and yeah, sometimes it works, but it's not realistic. Like, we can't control all the time anything outside of ourselves. We can always control ourselves. So, and with that, thank you for your time. Please leave a comment, let me know, and I hope you enjoyed and you'll come back. Have a good one.